Salutations, ladies and gentlemen, the Knife Raven here, back again with another video. And in today's video, I figured since the unhealthy levels of tactical of last video, that being the Steel Will Plague Doctor, I figured that today I should return to my roots and take a look at another traditional knife, because why ever change from the usual mold, am I right? So in the meantime, this knife is a Case. Now, Case, well, quite the brand. They've been around for quite a long time. The family history dates back pretty far. And the brand is well known as being perhaps the most collectible American brand for pocket knives ever. And you can debate that all you want, but nonetheless, it's a very long-standing company. They've been around for, again, a long time, and they've developed a cult following. And as of late, people have been complaining and saying that their products aren't as good as they used to be. Now, I can't confirm or deny that, because I don't have your copy of a Case knife that has a bent blade, or a giant gap, or an awful grind, so I can't tell you that you're wrong. But I can at least give you my perspective. And today, I'll be taking a look at a Case knife that, well, is new to me, and one that I'm very interested to discuss, and that is the Case Mini Copperlock. Now, the Mini Copperlock is very interesting because it combines the usefulness of a full-sized Case locking blade. For example, this is the Cheetah, while at the same time, it offers the same performance as, say, a normal-sized slip-joint pocket knife. This isn't a Case. This is, again, an Arthur Wright & Son ebony lambfoot, which, again, is still one of my favorites. And you can see that while it does have the lock, it's much closer in size to the lambfoot, which is a slip joint, than it is to the Cheetah, which is another lockback. So it combines the performance of a lock blade with the size of a slip joint. It's a single-bladed knife, featuring a very nice mirror-polished clip-point blade with a French nail nick, a long French nail nick, dual swedges, nickel-silver bolsters with the copper head design, which means that the blade will not stick up when you take it out of your pocket. It won't catch. Again, very smooth transition. Pins are made of brass. Liners are made of brass. The lock bar is stainless steel. You have a nickel silver shield, which says Case, and a little XX. Again, it's not a slip joint, so I can't say walk and talk, but I can certainly say that the snap is very light. It's not a loud click, but at the same time, it's very secure. I like the action on this knife quite a bit. Very smooth opening. And again, the box it came in, it's the, I think this is the newer design. The old one had the American flag on it. It was kind of a grayish white. This one is a black and gold, which I think looks quite nice. But you're not here for the box, you're here for the knife. So, what are my opinions on this knife? Well, it's a very small blade, but you get a nice 3-finger grip, and you can get a 4-finger grip if your hands are small or you really kind of squish them together. But I think that the 3-finger grip is what most people would consider this knife, about maybe 3.5. And it's comfortable, very nice ergonomics. The copper head bolster is, as always, very comfortable. The blade, being a lockback, is extremely sturdy, and it's a very decent-sized blade. This should be enough to get most of your daily tasks done. The blade centering is perfect. Maybe a hair off to the right, but I'd say that's as close to perfect as you'll get. In the open position, shockingly, it is perfect. And I inspected this one by hand, and I chose it among a couple others. This was actually the display model. And normally I don't take the display model, but I actually specifically wanted it because it was one of the best fit and finished case knives I had ever seen. So again, don't know if the camera's picking that up, but you got perfect blade straightness all around. Transitions are buttery smooth. You can't feel them really at all. Shield is very well put together. Doesn't stick up. Gapping on the left side is absolutely non-existent, and on the right is a very tiny gap here. But aside from that, you can see it kind of does lead up a bit far. It's a long gap, but not a particularly wide one. And holding it up to the light, tiny little bit of light shines through, but certainly nothing too big. Again, I'd say that it's better than usual for some of the case knives that people have talked about. Again, you'd be getting similar levels of gapping on your average Arthur Wright. Granted, Arthur Wrights are a bit cheaper, but they also don't have the fancy blade finishes and the jigged bone handles, which I know some people really like. I'm personally more of a wood guy. I like the elder wood on the cheetah a bit better, but at the same time, this is the Jigged amber bone peach seed jig, and it has a beautiful pattern. You can see that lovely amber hue in the center. Very earthy, very warm looking. It's just a beautiful color. Still have some of it on this side to a slightly lesser degree. Again, the white bone around the edges, and then in the center it's got that kind of burnt, toasted look to it that is just absolutely beautiful. I, for one, think that this is very pretty. Case is a knife company that is renowned for making some of the prettiest traditional knives that are commonly seen. I mean, yes, you can list 12 custom makers to me, but that doesn't change the fact that they're not as mainstream and well-known as Case. And GEC is definitely a contender for that, and I like the rustic beauty of an Arthur Wright, even in its simplicity. But for American-made knives, I will stand by the belief that Case does make some of the prettiest knives that you can find. And that's the thing with traditionals. I got these two knives recently, not even a few days apart from each other, and this knife overall has so much more utility to it. It has a larger blade, better steel. You can open it with one hand. You have a clip that you can reverse. This knife is just better utility-wise, in theory. But I would pick this knife to carry every day of the week before I'd take this one. And it's really because this isn't going to scare anyone. It's got just as good of utility in the sense that unless you're going to be doing some really, extensive big cutting tasks, at which point, yeah, you'd probably want something more like this. This will be all you would ever need during an average day. And for that reason, and its style and beauty alone, I would carry this before I would carry that thing. And I really like that knife, but it doesn't change the fact this is what I prefer to carry. And here, even comparing it to a modern traditional style knife, this is the Spyderco Urban, a knife of a similar style with a traditional slip joint action here. This is a very modern take on the classic pocket knife, but yet I would still carry this. It doesn't have one-hand opening capabilities, it doesn't have the clip, the steel, or the jimping, but I would still take this knife over this one, simply for the style. And I know that may seem petty of me. I should be choosing functionality before anything else, but knives are really like anything. They're like cars. To some people, a Rolls-Royce is their dream automobile, but to another, perhaps it would be a Land Rover, because they prefer something that can go off roads and they don't have to worry about getting dirty. And I can completely respect that. They're the people who want the tactical knives, the people who want the modern knives with custom Damascus finished hardware and mother-of-pearl handles, and then they're the people that want a classic pocket knife that looks just like that which their grandpa carried. And I'm definitely part of the latter group. And overall, I think that this is an absolutely excellent knife that I would recommend to anyone. And again, the fit and finish for a case is top-notch. The stamping, Case XX USA, it's got the 61749L stainless steel, the model number, and this is a true sharp knife. You've got the little numbers. I believe this was made in 2022. And again, you have a beautiful blade profile, nice grind. It came fairly sharp, nice nail nick, nice dual swedge, no blade play at all, perfect transitions, flush pins, good shield, very minuscule gapping that really just doesn't bother me. Great polish, beautiful handle, nice ergonomics, and a fair price point at around $90 to $100 depending on where you find it and what the material is. Again, the Peach Seed Jig Amber Bone is beautiful. I absolutely love it. Personally, I like Smooth Bone, maybe just a little bit better, but the Jigged Bone really highlights how different each piece is, because Smooth Bone still has its own layer of uniqueness to it, but Jigged Bone really just showcases that more. It's like the difference between a piece of ebony, and again, on this side, at least without looking in detail, it looks like the exact same handle, and then taking a burl wood with, again, those swirls and curves in the pattern, and no two will be perfectly alike. And the same goes with, again, just plain hardwoods and smooth bone. But you really see it more in the jigged bones and the burl woods. And that's part of the reason why they are some of my favorite materials of all. So yeah, this knife is absolutely wonderful. I'm going to carry this probably a lot since I got it just recently, and I like carrying my new knives. And yeah, it's perfect lockup, very slender profile, not likely to scare anyone. Comfy, even in larger hands. Again, you just have to get used to the fact that it's a 3-finger grip in that case. And no, it's just a beautiful little example of traditional craftsmanship, and I think Case, I don't know what they did with this one that they didn't do to everyone else's knife who's complained, but this is very, very good. I'm not going to call it GEC because I know that will annoy someone, but it's definitely within the same ballpark. It may not be perfect. Again, that bit of gapping I could see being a bit of a nuisance to some. But this is really coming close. And I've heard people have had a blade wrap and off-center blades and gapping on their GECs. It's not as common. But because we're going to consider GEC the gold standard for traditional pocket knives, we have to keep in mind, they aren't always perfect. And so this is definitely within the realm of a good case, or pardon me, a good GEC. And for that reason, I think that despite, not being absolutely perfect, I think that for me, this was an absolute winner. Good price, good build, excellent look. It just looks beautiful and is overall a knife that I would recommend anyone. And with Case, you can get dozens of handle materials, and you can continue to collect these to your heart's content. So thank you very much for watching. This has been the Case Mini Copperlock in Amber Bone Peach Seed Jig, and this is the Knife Raven, as always, signing off. Goodbye.